Good morning and welcome to our show this morning called Ask Mason. This is where the public has an opportunity to send in questions, and I will do my very best to answer those questions, try to shed a little light on whatever topic is of concern to the general public. I always have Derrick Silas here with me, the head of our communication department. And Derrick, you usually are the keeper of the questions. What do we have this morning?
We have some interesting questions today. One of them is many people in the residence have been noticing the mowing and edging on our O&K Garriott and on Van Buren. And can you talk about that effort and how did the city get involved in those improvements?
Okay, all right, and that is a good question. So, as you know, it's the city's responsibility to mow the easements and try to stay up with that. This year was kind of a blessing and a curse, right? We have had probably as much rain since January to now as we normally have all year long. So we had a little bit of rain all through the summer. We were very fortunate. The result of having a lot of rain, though, is that it causes all of our grass and weeds and all those type of things to grow. We are already understaffed in that department. We just don't have enough people that can cover that. All the bar ditches, I mean, it's a lot. It's miles and miles and miles of that. Not making an excuse, just saying that's the environment that we live in right now. So with that being said, we knew that our entrances were getting looking pretty bad. There's no other way to say it. Commissioner Orr had actually brought that to our attention, wanted something done. And we went in and we appropriated out of the budget an additional $100,000 to hire some outside contractors that could go in there and really spend some time. Not just knock it down, but mow it real tight, edge it, clean it up afterwards. And so we were able to do that. We appropriated that $100,000 thinking that we would need it, and we will eventually use the biggest part of that, but we were able to get all 4 entrances into the city cleaned up, and we actually only spent about $4,300 so far. So they selected, obviously, Highway 81 and O&K Garriott, the 2 main entrances, and then Chestnut, Randolph. So they will broaden that as we go along. Fortunately, we're getting into the top of the year that the growing season will slow down, and hopefully we'll catch back up. But that's something that we want to look at moving forward. We're not happy with, when people come to our community, that is literally the first impression that they get. We only get one chance to make a first impression. I know that's an old analogy, but it's very, very true. Yeah. And so over time, we're not going to take that project on yet, but we want to keep that cleaned up. But we would like to really think about our entrances and make them much more grand. And I don't know yet what that's going to look like, but I know that there are some other communities, Stillwater. I was recently over there coming in on 51. Pretty impressive, a couple of the things that they're doing over there with a large, I guess you'd call it a statue. It's a very modern type statue, I guess you'd call it a statue. And very interesting, very appealing. So that being said, I think we can do more. But for right now, we're keeping the grass cut down and we're edging it and mowing it. And I'm very pleased with that. So
very good.
We'll continue to do that.
Very good. Always good to beautify the community.
Absolutely.
One of another questions is many residents are still looking, they look at the mall and they see that it's pretty much vacant. There's some stores in there, and it's a good location, of course. And so the question is basically, how can we get developers in there, or what can the city do? Can we purchase the real estate? Can we do something about this mall? Yeah. That's the question.
I get asked that a lot, a couple times a week probably. Why we can't do something? There's several things to unpack in that question, and first of all, the city's not in private business, and it's not our job. There are private businesses in there, and that mall is owned by a corporation, by an individual somewhere. And so it's really not up to us to just go in and take property. Now, right. While there are circumstances in city government that we can do eminent domain, that would not be one of those. And I would not ever entertain that. But it is a great location. The individual or the company that owns that are current on their taxes, is what I've been told. There are a few businesses inside of it. I wish there were more, but I do think that our retail environment is changing. How we purchase changes, and we're not unique to that. You drive around anywhere in Oklahoma or the United States, you see little small malls that just literally are not being able to sustain that evolution of economics. So at some point I would love to see a change out there. You're right, it's a great location. And I know of two different developers, local developers, that have contacted the ownership and attempted to purchase that for different reasons, different purposes, but have just not had any luck. Hopefully at some point the owner of that will have a change of heart and want to sell, but I don't look to see the city purchase that. Granted, occasionally we do buy real estate, we do buy property, but it's usually to clean stuff up. We are not interested in buying a mall. And I've talked to all the commissioners. I do not see a consensus there at all. So that would have to be something that a private developer would do, and then build that out for something different. So it's privately held. We have no control over that. They keep it maintained, so it's not a nuisance. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. So
okay, very good question. Good answer.
Oh well.
Speaking of economic development, though, any plans for your next show?
I do actually. Thank you. Oh. Thank you for asking. Wow. We just recently had a new business open up downtown, Walker Western Wear. And I don't normally come on this show and promote businesses, but having had an opportunity to talk to Jana and Wade Walker, which are the owners, okay. Very, very interesting story about how they selected Enid. And I think that's so important to tell. I have invited her to come on the show in 2 weeks and to kind of tell how that happened. And I think you'll be surprised how they ended up in Enid, Oklahoma. So tune in on that. You can send your questions anytime to askmason@enid.org. We will do our best to get those questions on. We'll never use your name, so feel free to ask anything. But I hope you enjoy the show. I hope you watch it. I hope it's beneficial to our community in knowing what's going on and understanding why we do what we do.
Yes.
So thank you very much, and hope to see you in 2 weeks.